Halt. Before you enter this video, I just need you to know that there are going to be spoilers, and if you do not want spoilers, then this is not the video for you. I am ranting, I am raving, so this is your spoiler warning. But if you do want spoilers, come on in. The water's fine. We gotta talk. We have got to talk about the Stranger Things finale. I was so hyped. I was so hyped. And after volume 1, I was even more hyped. Volume 2, I was a little less hyped. I was still hype. Still a hype. I think that people were way too hard on that last episode of volume 2. You know, it wasn't that bad. It could have been better. Right. Okay. Should this have only been 2 parts? Probably only 2 parts. That's okay. That's okay. First, I would just like to personally check on all the Byler fans out there. How y'all doing? Are you okay? I'm really thinking about y'all because I have truly never seen more thought-provoking and impassioned takes on a show than I have about Byler. Like, you all got me. And I was like, okay, you know, like, I do see kind of something there, but I really was like, it's one-sided. This is very much a yearning situation. Will is yearning, and that's fine, okay? But some of these videos, I was like, oh my gosh. Am I stupid? Am I the stupid one? My media literacy is garbage, apparently. And then Nikki Carry-On even made a Byler video, and I was like, oh shit. It's serious. And I did spend 2.5 hours of my life taking in all of the Byler lore. And I was like, oh shit. You know, I was more open to it. I let my heart be open to it. I was still pretty convinced that it was just gonna be a pining thing, but very convincing. You know, it was pretty darn convincing. So I would just like to personally give my condolences to Nikki Carry-On, all the other Byler fans out there. That was rough. It's unfortunately a little bit more realistic. You know, you can't win. You can't win the gay in high school. Winning the gay in high school is like not a canon event. That shit has to be pining, right? There are so many things, though, that were left unanswered regarding Byler, which is unfortunate. The painting is never addressed. Hi. That's really disappointing, because that could have been like a cute moment between Mike and Will, but never addressed. At the end of the day, though, I do think it would have been unfortunate for Mike and Eleven to break up in the final episode, so I am glad that that didn't happen. But big but, I had a lot of disappointments with Mike and Eleven's relationship. I still didn't want them to break up, okay? I just wanted Mike to get better before this. He never did, and that's like really disappointing for me. I guess he got a little bit better. Season 4 Mike is just a whole other creature. We're not unpacking that today. But I still don't think he said I love you in that final scene. He doesn't say I love you when she's about to die. And that was the biggest issue in their relationship, is that he doesn't express his emotions in the same way that Elle does. And it's like really heartbreaking for Elle. And he still doesn't in that final moment. And that actually broke my heart. Broke my heart. I can't even imagine what Eleven's going through. What the fuck? But before we get into all the ranting and raving, I just want to say I did not fully hate this finale. Okay, we have not fully drank the haterade over here. I do not think this is Game of Thrones bad. There's much worse series. How I Met Your Mother, I'm looking at you. I will always be a hater of the ending of How I Met Your Mother till the day that I fucking die. So let's start out on a positive note. What did I like? I loved the music and the score in general. It just sounded great. Sound design, pretty cool. Just so many of the music choices were so fun and amazing. When they started playing Purple Rain, so good. What an emotional scene. Oh, I also kind of liked the epilogue. Do I still wish that the fight was longer? Yes, absolutely. That fight scene ended way too quickly. There were There was so much buildup just for it to be finished in like 15 minutes. That was crazy. But I really liked having a long epilogue because at the end of the day, Stranger Things is a character-driven story. There is a lot of world building as well, but at the end of the day, it is like character first. So it did make a lot of sense to really try to end everyone's story, which is hard because there's a lot of characters. As you can see, I'm going to be going through every single character, at least most of the main characters. Goodness gracious, this is such a huge cast, so it's gonna be hard to get through everything, but we're gonna try our best. There are a lot of characters to get through, so it does make sense why the epilogue was like 40 minutes long. It really does pay off too, because that ending scene of them finishing the D&D campaign with Elle being the hero and them coping with that loss, maybe. I do have theories about that too. We'll get to that in the 11 section, but I just loved that final scene where they're all closing their books and putting them on the shelves. Oh my gosh. That was beautiful. That shit was so beautiful. And then the end credits being a Stranger Things campaign was very fun as well. And it also made you think like, oh wait, was this all a D&D campaign? I don't think it was, but you know, it adds that mystery, which is very 80s coded ending of a movie. You can't just not have it be full of mystery. That's not how movies work. Also, aesthetically, it looked great. There were, you know, some cheesy CGI bits, but overall I thought it looked incredible. That battle looked so cool, and I just am mostly disappointed because I wanted so much more of that. So video game-esque with them all trying to slowly get its hit points down. That was so sick. Nancy just being the badass that she is. So cool. A couple scenes that I really liked. Hopper shooting Elle. Oh my gosh, that made me sick. I had to pause it. And just be, what the fuck? Can you imagine if that's how they did it? I knew they didn't have the balls to do that. That would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. I also loved the scene of Steve falling. That suspense. Oh, I wish he would have died though. That's gonna be a big part of my complaints is more people should have died. Why did everyone live? Why was it such a happy ending? What happened to the dark, gritty thing that we were promised? Duffer Brothers, stop lying. We're gonna get into that more too, but I need the Duffer Brothers to stop lying. They lie so much. They do. I do think I still like the wormhole explanation as well. There are a few things that don't necessarily line up, especially from like season 1, but because this wasn't meant to be a bigger show, like season 1 was supposed to be a standalone, I do understand how some things aren't going to be perfect because of that. So I'll give them a little bit of grace. I do think that the wormhole explanation is kind of cool. Worlds colliding, that's insane. It looked really cool as well, like when but still, all of that happened and everybody lived. I just don't understand how such powerful beings can make worlds collide, but somehow everybody lives. Everybody lives. Everybody's fine. Let's get into the characters. We're going to discuss their ending and how their story went this final episode. Starting out, Vecna, aka Henry, aka Mind Flayer, aka Mr. What's-It, whatever you want to call him. All I gotta say is, yep, that was easy. Thanks, Staples. Why was that fight so easy? I know that they've technically been fighting them for like years and years at this point, but that final battle had the potential to be so cool and have so much going on. There was some sacrificial opportunities. It was just so underwhelming, and that made me so sad because I've been so excited about this. My first disappointment with the Vecna resolution is that the first shadow really didn't play as much of a role in this as I was expecting. I really went out of my way to watch this slime tutorial through legal sources, of course, only, and watch reviews and people talking about the first shadow. So I was ready. I wanted to be ready. I like to know about my lore, okay? And then it barely played a role in it, and honestly just like raised even more questions because I really thought we were gonna get more of Henry specifically. And we did kind of get a moment. I do like that they didn't let him just be fully redeemed. I hate when a show has someone do all of these awful things and then just like lets them get off scot-free. Like, no, hey, no, you still killed a lot of people. His conversation with Will and Will trying to like give him the opportunity, like, Henry, it wasn't you. It kind of does show that he was very much corrupted by the Mind Flayer. But we do also have that rock scene of him like brutally murdering the dude with the rock. Like, he didn't have to do that. That's still also kind of confusing because in the first Shadow, I feel like most of the crazy stuff he does is because of the Mind Flayer. So it's interesting that he just kills the guy with the rock kind of unprompted. We needed more. We needed more from Henry because that could have been really cool. And also Jamie Campbell Bower is incredible. I just wanted more. I'm also disappointed that there was no Patty. That's something that I was really rooting for, was that like that was going to come back into play. I was like, ooh, that's going to be important, right? No, sure isn't. Hopper and Joyce also don't mention that they knew Henry. What? If I went to school with somebody that's doing all this crazy shit, you wouldn't hear the end about it. I would be telling you all their tea. I'd be like, oh, this is what they did in high school. This was this, blah, 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 blah. Especially him being the way he was in high school. Like, there's so much tea to spill. How are they not spilling the tea? Biggest question. If they can see everybody's thoughts, they know all the things going on, right? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, they can see it all, especially with Will, because they're connected. How did they not know about the sneak attack? How did they not know? But going back to the first Shadow and him not having redemption, I did still like that. And I saw this interview where Matt Duffer was talking about it. He says that even if there is goodness in his heart, he's gone so far at this point. I mean, he can't live in a moment where he's not in control of these actions and the actions he did where he was wrong. He can't accept a world where anything he did was not the right thing. I just think that all of what Matt is talking about, like in this interview, is so much more interesting than what we got. I wanted to see more of this moral dilemma. Maybe there is more communication between Will and Henry about this. Maybe Henry tries to lure Will over by appealing to him. I just think it really could have been a little bit more Anakin Palpatine coded of luring to the dark side. Like, I want to see why. I want to see why Henry has fully just accepted that the Mind Flayer is right. Because in First Shadow, we don't really get to see that. He's kind of just taken over, so I just have questions. I want to see more of the reasons why he can't accept a world where anything that he did was not the right thing. I just want to see that. And with that, let's move to the chosen one himself, Will. I am not fully I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this one. I can't even sugarcoat this one. This one is, I was so excited. Will is like probably like one of my favorite characters from the show. I just think he has like a really interesting arc. And I really thought that they were going to go the Harry Potter route where they were connected. And if you destroy one, you destroy him. And I thought that was going to be more of an obstacle for them to overcome. And then it just wasn't. It just wasn't, and that was so disappointing. Like, yeah, that would have sucked if he died, but it would have been so good. He should have died. Death to them all. Sit with me for just a second. Imagine how heartbreaking but good the scene where Joyce cuts off Vecna's head would have been if she also knew that Will was gonna die. It should have been a situation where everybody is getting killed, right? Like, everyone's wrapped up in a vine or something. Everybody's like on the edge of death. Will is screaming on the ground, "Mom, you have to do it. I love you. It's okay." Something like that, some emotional scene where he's like, "Mom, do it. You have to do it." And Joyce has to deal that final blow. I know it's dark, but god damn, it would have been so good. Instead, we get a little boom, a little pow, a little, oh no, like, maybe he's in danger, but then, like, there isn't really any real danger. And the way that the Duffers explain this actually is so infuriating to me. Hold on. Will was connected to the hive mind. He didn't feel anything when Vecna was impaled and decapitated when the Mind Flayer was attacked. Why not? Well, we aren't showing him when the Mind Flayer is being attacked. When he's getting decapitated, at that point, the Mind Flayer is dead. And so at that point, he severed the connection between him and Vecna. And so you're saying it could be off camera? When the Mind Flayer is getting attacked, we see how much pain he's in. Obviously, even with Henry's memories, we just wanted to focus on the final battle with our heroes. So they forgot, right? Off camera. Yeah, off camera. And then they were not connected anymore. Even though Vecna just got finished saying, "We are one. We are one." That was Henry's whole excuse for, you know, not like wanting to turn to we are one. We are farmers. Bah, 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 bah. Doesn't that include Will? Part of the hive? What? I also do still have questions about none of the other kids being connected to the hive mind. What? What? That was just disappointing because part one really got me so hyped. I was like, oh my gosh, are they really gonna do like a crazy emotional ending where they're going to have to take out Will? Because that would be so crazy. And it got me hyped for it. Why was I hyped for it? They chickened out. They chickened out and wanted to give everyone a happy ending. A little bit of pain and suffering is fine. Let's talk about the epilogue though. What does Will get up to? What's Will's future? Well, gay? They just show him at the club with the boyfriend that we don't get even a name of. College? I don't know. A job? I don't know. But he's gay. Don't worry, folks. We didn't forget. We didn't forget that part. Who needs life goals when we have gay? I also hate that we never get a reasoning behind why Vecna let Will have this connection in the first place, because that doesn't happen for the other kids. So why is Will allowed to have this connection? What was the reasoning for it? It's just never really explored, and that is disappointing. We gotta move on or we're never gonna get through this. 11, my sweet baby angel, that definitely deserved better. What the fuck? Even if she's still alive, which I do think she is, I will prove that in a few minutes. I have thoughts. Even if she's still alive, she has to go live in the middle of nowhere, away from all her friends and family that she's fought so hard for, after working a full-time fucking job, protecting everybody and saving the world multiple times, just to have to go live all alone? What the fuck? She already got no benefits. 11 is such a great character that really deserved better, and I'm sad. How are we gonna kill off 11 and not kill off fucking Murray? Why is Murray still here? I'm sorry. I'm a Murray hater. If Murray has no haters, I am dead. Okay. I know a lot of people like Murray. I don't understand. Why do people like Murray? If you like Murray, please explain it. I'm not gonna be mad at you. Like I'm not that intense of a hater. I just don't understand. I don't understand. He speaks, it's annoying. Every time he speaks, I want to hit him with a truck. When he looked like he was about to jump off the roof with the bombs and die, I was like, oh, thank goodness. Finally, maybe I'll actually like him now when he dies. He lived. There's such a long list of characters that should have died before 11. Like 11 is the one person that deserved to finally have a happy ending, and we're not giving it to her. And there is an explanation for this. I will talk about it. I know the Duffers made a statement in an interview with Variety. The question was, speaking of the 11 ending and the ambiguity of whether she's alive, can you talk about when you had that idea and why you wanted to do that? So Ross Duffer says a couple things. 11 represents in a lot of ways the magic of childhood. We knew that for our kids to be able to grow up, the magic had to leave Hawkins. There was never a version we had written where it was 11 down in that basement. It was never going to be that simple and that easy. It was finding a way to come up with an ending where it was not that simple, but also bittersweet, and that there was hope there. I get that. I get that. If that was their thoughts, their plan, the ending of season 3 was so much better. Having 11 lose her powers and just get to live as a normal girl, and also kind of representing growing up and losing that magic would have been so much better. But not giving the one child that truly had her whole childhood taken away from her a happy ending is just so fucked up. Like, she finally was getting to live kind of a normal life. Not really, because she was still working a full-time job of keeping everyone else alive. What was Murray doing? Okay, barely contributing to the team, I see. Truly, she just deserved better, and it's so frustrating. But here's the thing, the Duffers can't commit to killing anybody off ever, and so we're gonna talk about why Eleven's actually alive. Hey, welcome to my lab. Probably wondering why I brought you here today. Well, I'm here to explain to you why Elle is alive. Ironically, I started this to prove otherwise, because I am at heart a pessimist, and I was like, there's no way they would give us such a happy ending in this show that they promised death. However, they definitely did, and I'm gonna okay, here's the stuff, all right? Let's break it down. Was a compare and contrast chart the best way to do this? Probably not. I made this pretty quickly. But I just, you know what? I had to commit. So here we are. All right, let's start in the center, okay? Right, so I put Hopper at the top, because I think that Hopper's reaction to all of this is either good or bad, okay? It can be argued either way. Because honestly, at the end, in the epilogue, like, he's really handling things surprisingly well, because he doesn't handle things well most of the time. Like, rarely ever. So it's surprising. So that could mean, one, that Elle is dead, and he's just grown a lot. You know, they had that, like, that conversation, like, maybe he's grown. I don't think so. I don't think he could grow that quickly, okay? It's Hopper we're talking about. So more likely, Elle is alive. He has also figured this out, but he hasn't told anybody yet. Right, okay, moving on. The illusion. The illusion theory. I think that this can go either way. So let's start with Elle being dead. Okay, first of all, like, how is she surviving a gunshot wound? Right. Also, she's all the way back at the lab. There's a lot of questions as to how this illusion situation would be possible. Like, how is she able to create an illusion of Elle being in the Upside Down, but also being on the truck, right? Like, that just seems a little improbable, okay? My biggest question would be, how would she know when and where to do all of this? Because, like, there's no way for them to really be communicating. This is quite questionable. And this also kind of connects to Mike's theory. In his theory, he's the one that makes up the evidence of the illusion. We actually don't see any of that in the actual event that takes place, right? The hand shaking that looks like an illusion, that only happens in Mike's version of events. So the hand thing might actually not be evidence in favor of this. I don't know. Okay, now moving to the other side. Elle is alive. It seems very plausible Elle was not on the truck, okay? Let me cook here a little bit. So the Derek wave. Initially, I was like, Derek just feels this connection to all of them because they've just been through so much together. He's like, okay, Mike is now my new best friend, right? But what if there is no Elle? So that little smile, that was directly to Derek, because the illusion wasn't made for Derek. I wanted to find evidence of this, so I rewatched the whole scene looking for more Derek reactions to, like, staring at Elle, but unfortunately we didn't get anything of that nature, so that was really frustrating. So I am holding a cat toy, and the cats are very intrigued. Hey, mommy's talking about theories. She also doesn't speak. She does not speak on the Hey. Do I need to use something else?
Yeah, Tai Tai's also a pessimist. She absolutely thinks that Elle is dead. But Tai Tai's belief is that everybody is dead. Nobody made it out of the Upside Down. It's all inside of Henry's mind. That's why everything in Hawkins is a little weird when they get back. Yeah, Tai Tai's theory, they're fully still in Henry's mindscape. You little pessimist. You little pessimist girl. So Elle doesn't speak at all on the truck ride, but this is where things get a little bit confusing because is it real Elle that was on the truck ride and then gets off and escapes? Or was it all a projection? And that's why she was able to magically appear back in the Upside Down. All of that is very confusing, and I think it was intentionally made that way by the Duffer Brothers. Well, I mean, they admitted that they wanted to leave it up for interpretation. But sometimes what they do is just kind of messy, and it's too confusing, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. Because how did she, how was she by the truck getting pulled out by the soldiers and then just vanishes, and not a single one of the soldiers was like, whoa, she just vanished from right here? Because what? We've changed items because that was just too enticing for the cats. Another thing that's in the middle for me is no blood. This could go either way because I'm not fully convinced that her bringing Mike to her mind was real. That may have been something that Mike also made up. I'm not entirely sure. So that could be Elle is dead and it was just Mike's way of coping. He doesn't really speak, you know, like he doesn't tell her I love you. Like it doesn't really feel like a real moment. I don't know. It seems a little off to me. But also no blood would support the illusion thing, right? There's no blood. She's using her powers, so obviously there would have to be blood. And it's also confusing because we didn't even know that that was a power that she had, to just be able to pull people into her mind without a sensory deprivation tank. So that whole thing, still very confusing. Let's move into Elle's death. This is kind of where I began. Does she even have her powers still? I think yes, because she has been to Dimension X now, and supposedly going to Dimension X is how your blood type gets changed. But if that was actually true from the play, then everybody's blood types would actually be changed. So this is truly, I don't know. Also, Henry's dead now. Was he really the source of everything? But if he was the source of everything, like everyone still has his blood, so technically they would still have the powers. But he got his blood type from being in Dimension X, and everybody's been to Dimension X now, so everybody should technically have powers. What's up with the powers? That is so confusing. Honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I'm just confused. How did she get to Iceland? She has no money. We don't even know if she has a passport. She probably doesn't. She's been working full-time keeping these hoes alive for years and years, and she's, I don't think, not been on the run for most of those years. I don't even think she has like a driver's license or like any form of identification. How the fuck did she get to Iceland? Also, not getting caught by the military trying to go to Iceland. What? And of course, there's the, was it all just a theory? A Mike Wheeler theory. Our storyteller at it again. I don't fucking know. Okay, and with that, let's move into the more convincing evidence. Pulled out of the truck, then disappears. Impossible. The only explanation is that there was some type of an illusion. There's no way for this to have happened. Kryptonite. The kryptonite was happening. There was an inhibitor of their powers, so there's no way that she could have used her powers if she was that close in vicinity to them at the time. This is pretty strong evidence for me. Ooh, okay, this one, the 2 waterfalls, not 2. Fuck. That's supposed to say 2 waterfalls, not 3. This is one I saw on TikTok. I didn't notice this, but I like this one a lot, okay? So at the end, when Mike is telling his version of things, and then boom, it switched to Elle's POV, Mike and Elle always talked about there being 3 waterfalls in the place that they went. So if it was actually Mike's story, there would have been 3 waterfalls. But it seems like we actually just switched to Elle's POV, so in real life, she ends up going to a place with 2 waterfalls. Number one for me, the song choice. Heroes by David Bowie. That's interesting because flashback, season 1, when we think Will is dead, Heroes by David Bowie. Boom, flash forward, when we think Hopper is dead, Heroes by David Bowie. Is it a good song? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, it's a great song. Why are we reusing it? They're pretty intentional with their song choices. That is something I will give the Duffers. They are great at picking songs to kind of set the mood, give us little clues. That's a fucking clue, I know it. No body, no death, okay? That's self-explanatory. So with all of that being said, Ella's alive, but she still deserves a happy ending. Let her be with her friends. What the fuck?
That is not the ending that she deserved, and it's super fucking stupid. All right, moving on. Where are the Demogorgons and the Demodogs? This is probably the biggest question online. Where are these bitches at? Are they on vacation? Does Vecna have PTO? If Vecna has PTO and company cars, i.e. the Rifts, I mean, that's better than a lot of places. Starbucks, take some fucking notes. Come on now. Do the Rifts count as company cars? I mean, it's a way to get from point A to point B provided by the company. So I mean, I think that counts. I personally have an explanation, but then I saw an interview with the Duffers that kind of made my explanation null and void. So I tried to give them a benefit of doubt. So we'll start there. I reasoned that they are probably just part of the Mind Flayer's body, right? Because the Mind Flayer is just particles when we've seen the Mind Flayer visualized in the past. Like, it's just been the particles, the smoke. It looks really cool. But in this episode, the Mind Flayer was like a physical form. So I was like, okay, so it just makes sense that that's all the Demodogs, Demogorgons, all of the creatures, because it needs flesh. Like at Starcourt Mall, it was wearing a flesh suit of all the humans. So I was just assuming that like they're part of the flesh suit, right? That makes sense. But then the Duffers did this interview, okay? Where are all the creatures? Where are the Demogorgons, the Demodogs, the bats? Are they hiding? And then Matt says, mainly, it's just that Vecna was not expecting this sneak attack on his home turf. Never in a million years could he have imagined that they're all somewhere. We obviously discussed having a demo battle on top of the Mind Flayer battle, but it felt more right for us that blah, blah, blah. Why does he need the demos when the Mind Flayer is this giant thing that can attack them? He doesn't need a little ant army to attack. He's going to take care of that himself. It's a giant, desolate planet. If you recall seeing Henry wandering the planet back in season 4, and at some point in his journey, he does see a demo far in the distance, but it's not like they're hanging out in little huts. It's not like a giant civilization of demos up there. There's not a cantina bar for demos. Did they just forget again? I wish that they would just say that they forgot. At this point, stop just making stuff up, guys. You can't have this villain that is all powerful, all knowing, be this fucking stupid in the finale. It could be argued, though, that because they are all-knowing and whatnot, they become too pompous and really just can't fathom these little plebes making a plan and coming to attack them, right? Like, that's understandable. But why wouldn't they just summon some demos to take them out when they knew they were in trouble? It just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My version with the meat suit makes more sense. So if you guys want to take that, please feel free. I know you just like to make things up. So like, you can have that. Lucas and Max. Honestly, this one I'm pretty much okay with. Lucas and Max. I'm a big Lucas and Max fan. This is my favorite couple, right? They are perfect for each other. No notes. Absolutely amazing. But why is that all that their characters have become? Did we forget that they're their own people? They don't even get their like own spot on the poster, which is fine. Like, you know, Max is taking a little nap, so it's okay. It's understandable. And they're very cute, but they don't even get their own end scene in the epilogue. Their whole epilogue is they are still a couple. Okay. Did they go to college? Do they have ambitions? No, we don't get to know. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I want to know more about them personally. Especially since they're like two main characters. We find out way too much about some of the other like more side characters. Like, these two have been there, especially Luke. Lucas has been there from the very beginning. Lucas is like a main player, and I feel like often gets sidelines, and it's very sidelined, and it gets pretty frustrating because Lucas is such a cool character, and Max has almost been there from the beginning, like almost beginning. And Max kind of got a moment through this season, so I will forgive that. But Lucas just, I feel like, didn't get as much of a moment. And can we also, side note to talk about for a second, why is Lucas always alone in these dangerous ass situations? Like anytime they split up, why does Lucas end up being alone? Getting attacked by these demos. Come on now. I do also have some questions about how Max is just like fully okay after what happened with Henry.
So unfortunately, my microphone did decide to die for part of this, so I lost all of the things that I said. So we're just gonna kind of do the Spark Note version of everything because honestly, I talked too much to begin with anyway. So to conclude, Max and Lucas, I am just a little confused how Max was just okay and, you know, graduated high school on time because she was pretty far behind. I mean, it's pretty sick that she did. Proud of her. Maybe she was studying in Mr. What's-Its mind. I mean, there was a school, so books and stuff. That, you know what? That makes sense. I have no questions. Max and Lucas are perfect, and I'm so happy for them. Same can't be said for Mike Wheeler. I do think that his ending was very nice. He is the storyteller, so it really made sense for the story to end with him DMing a D&D campaign. That was very cool. And I really do feel for him because he is coping with a pretty great loss at the end of it. Or he's cracking the code that all of us are also trying to crack. So, do have questions. Why did they not show him saying I love you when he was saying goodbye to Elle? That was a whole problem last season, and they just forgot to include that in his final goodbye to her. What? That is truly insane, and it made me so upset. But overall, you know, his ending was very good. Sharing his hope and his coping mechanism with his friends was very sweet. Or he was laying out his evidence for his new plan of going to find Elle. We'll see. I don't know. That could be its own spinoff. Dustin definitely had one of my favorite endings. Like, we really just found out a lot more about him, which was exciting. The tribute to Eddie, valedictorian. We know he's smart. You know what? It makes sense. And it was very funny. I love that Dustin and Steve finally had their heart-to-heart. That was a really great moment because he was like really hurting. So it made sense that he was lashing out. I do think that Steve was being a little immature, but you know what? We can only expect that from him. It's why his best friends are still in high school. But yay, Dustin's thriving in the prologue. Amazing. Nancy Wheeler, my queen. She absolutely ate so hard in that final battle. Like she was just out there with her gun. But Nancy and a gun also technically makes her a war criminal. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about because how does she not get arrested? I'm so sorry. I don't want that. I don't want that, but she killed so many soldiers and they're just gonna let her go? I don't think so. Like, she's just able to go off to college and they're like, yeah, that's fine. We don't really care about that. And then she comes back. She's dropped out of college and she looks scarier than Robin. So that's exciting for me. I am very excited that they didn't force her and Jonathan to be together because there really was such a rift forming between them. They definitely have this strong connection. So I'm really happy that they're going to stay like close, but they're not forcing themselves to like get married because it just did not seem like it was the time for it. And moving on to Jonathan, yes. I'm just so happy he's finally going to New York because that was something they talked about like early on in the series, season 1, season 2, like he was always talking about going to New York. So I'm excited that he is finally doing that because it kind of seemed like it was like forgotten for a while, but that just makes sense. Making an anti-capitalist movie. Yes, look at that haircut. Of course he's making an anti-capitalist movie. Yay, Jonathan.
People say we're alike, they say we've got the same hair.
Steve the Hair Harrington. You know, I do think that he should have died. I'm sorry. He finished his arc a while ago and he's just kind of been hanging out. I love this character and I would have been sad, but it would have been okay because it would have just done something. It would have moved the plot forward. But instead, he's still here. But in the epilogue, I do have questions. How is he like a teacher? I've had some pretty questionable coach teachers, but they at least have some sort of a degree. They never show this man going to school whatsoever. So how is he allowed to just be a teacher? I mean, it makes sense. Like, he just seems like he would be a great coach and teacher, yeah, but also he does seem to have gotten his Riz back. Saving the world, I think, does that for you, so go off, Steve. Get your little nuggets, man. Joyce, she hasn't done a lot this whole season. There was a few great moments. My highlight was definitely her talking to Derek, and she's just like, "Hey, don't worry, we're good kidnappers. Look, I brought my son with me. Don't worry about it." That is still so hilarious. And then she has this final moment with Vecna. She chops his head off. Amazing. Why did she bring an axe? Just for that moment. And you know what? That is the kind of hater I want to be. I should bring a better weapon, but I'm not, because I want to chop this bitch's head off execution style. Incredible. And then her and Hop finally go to Enzo's. They're very cute. They've been around for a little bit, and I'm still excited to see it. I think they're cute. And talking about Hopper gets engaged to Joyce. He does have a moment with Elle. He just loves her so much, and he does not want to lose her, which is very understandable. So I was still kind of conflicted in the end if his reaction is him really just accepting it, or if he knows that she's okay and he's also planning to go find her. I am not entirely convinced that he's actually okay. You know, most of his reactions are not like that. So we'll see. We will see. Erica deserves so much better. Oh my gosh. She got to do so much through the beginning of this season, and then her epilogue is so short. I mean, it's cool. She makes confetti bombs. That's lit. But I wanted more. I also feel like she should have been included in the D&D game. I was a little disappointed that she wasn't. But I think she's a little bit older than Holly and her friends, so maybe that makes sense. But Erica is just such a fun character. If they do a spin-off and it doesn't include Erica, I will actually be so upset. I would totally watch a show that's just Erica and Tina, frenemy situation, like they have to solve a problem together while absolutely hating each other. It would be great. It would be awesome. And I'm excited to see her absolutely take over the science department. You can tell that the science teacher is also very excited. He's like, I see a lot of potential in this one. She's gonna rule the world someday. Holly absolutely ate this season as well. Holly did so much work. She was clocked in. She was falling through dimensions, running around with Mr. What's-It. Like, she really took the freaking red pill and had to see everything and know that she was stuck inside the Matrix and still fight. I would have given up so quick. The second I saw what my body looked like, IRL with the tube thing, I'd be like, yeah, I'm staying here. I'm not gonna go do that, actually. I'm good. I'm gonna pretend like everything is A-okay. Give me the blue pill. Thank you so much. Props to her. She fought so hard. She did such a great job. She's an icon. Rockin' Robin. Honestly, pretty disappointing epilogue. First of all, the outfit. What? I love Robin's style so much. So that outfit was pretty disappointing. She looks gorgeous. Okay, love that. They took her quirky away. Give it back. That's part of her. That's part of her. And also, why did we not get an explanation what happened to Vicky? Vicky just disappears off screen. Are you freaking kidding me? What? You can't just build that up and then just say, yeah, clingy partners. Whatever. But don't worry, I'm surrounded by women. What? Very disappointing, but that's okay. I still love Robin. Robin got to do a lot the first half of this season, so I can't be that upset. You know what? The second half was about other people. That's totally fine. But hey, she's alive and thriving. That's amazing. And her, Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy are all besties now. We didn't really get to see a lot of that, but you know what? I believe them. They're all besties. Delightful Derek, truly one of the most impressive characters, went from being so freaking annoying to just being an absolute icon and legend. So proud of Derek. Really contributed to the team in such an amazing way. Go Derek.
Mrs. Wheeler. She doesn't really do a lot in the finale specifically, but just brief side note, she was so cool throughout the first two parts of this season. Some of it was maybe a little unrealistic because she had just got absolutely wrecked by the Demogorgon. I don't know how she's like standing up, walking to the hospital. Whatever. It's a mother's instinct, okay? She was fine. It was still so cool. But in the finale, we get to see her and she's got these dope ass scars. Like, she looks so badass with her new haircut. My only downfall, why is Ted still there? They should have at least killed Ted off. They didn't even have the balls to kill off Ted. Okay, moving on. Sarah Connor.
Love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
My underutilized icon. This character is another example of such good build up, so little payoff. I really thought that the military was going to be such a problem. When they're driving back, I'm like, oh my gosh. So this is where like the real battle is. Vecna wasn't the problem the whole time. It was actually the people, you know, it was going to be like a very human-centered, evil storyline. Right? No, they just give up. What? The second that they think Elle is gone, they're like, well, that's me. Gotta go. What the fuck? Especially after Hopper killed so many. Hopper is like a war criminal at this point. He killed so many people in the military and they're just gonna let him go? I don't think Professor K would give up that easily. Maybe she could have at least died in a cool way, but no, nothing. Ew. Why did I even include him in this? I don't want to talk about him. Should be dead. Should be dead. Moving on. Oh. It's very upsetting to me that this is the end of my presentation. I hate it. Going back to the beginning. We're not stopping on Murray. Absolutely the fuck not. Okay, there we go. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Meh. Could have been better. Could have been worse. You know, it was a happy ending. And maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I hate joy. And I will accept that. Maybe I'm just looking for everything to be doom and gloom. And I need to just accept that things can be happy in the end. But that doesn't excuse a lot of the unanswered questions. I'm allowed to have questions. I'm allowed to be a little bit underwhelmed and still like the show. This doesn't make me hate the show by any means. But when I like something, I am going to question it. That is just who I am as a person. I am forever curious. And I think that that's a good thing. I think it's okay to want to know more about things that you like. Some of my favorite shows and movies have tons of plot holes. I think a plot hole can be really funny. I like when sometimes just things aren't answered. It's fine. But I do hate when something clearly feels like a cash grab. And unfortunately, after season 3, Stranger Things kind of feels that way, especially with how much they're trying to get us excited about spin-offs. I hate when shows do that. I just want them to end it well. Why can't we just put the energy into finishing off this story well? Why do we have to focus on spin-offs? Oh wait, money. I know the answer. I know the answer, but it still frustrates me. In the end, it was still fun. It was just too happy for my liking. I want death. I want doom. I want gloom. And I don't think it's wrong for me to expect those things when they promise them to me. Give me my death. That's it. I've been talking about this for far too long. Guess it's finally time to say goodbye to Stranger Things. For now. We're definitely getting a fuck ton more of this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a happy new year, and of course, happy birthday to me, because this finale did come out on my birthday, which I initially thought was going to be a gift. Really did think it was going to be a birthday gift for me. Now I don't know if I feel that way. Okay, bye-bye.